got this kind of a everyone, the former chief minister.
Because if what had happened in Jammu and Kashmir had been with the will of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, I would have accepted it. I mean, we're sitting here in Telangana. Telangana state was formed because of the will of the people of Telangana. The assembly passed a resolution that allowed for the state to be established. Jammu and Kashmir passed no such thing. In fact, it was on no political party's agenda to break up Jammu and Kashmir into two and then downgrade them into union territories. I'm not even going to get into the constitutional arguments about what happened with 370 and 35A because that's too long and I don't want to bore you with all that. So don't for a moment kid yourself that what happened in Jammu and Kashmir was democratic. If it was, you wouldn't have needed to lock people like me up for 9 months or Mehbooba Mufti for more than a year. 2 years ago this time, which is why this is such a surreal experience for me. 2 years ago this time I was a guest of the government. My vision of the outside world was literally what I could see out of my window and no further than that. I didn't have any access to family for 3 weeks and no access to TV or newspaper for 5 weeks. So by no definition is that democratic. Now you ask me what can you do, what new democracy can you bring to Jammu and Kashmir? We don't need new democracy. We just need the democracy that everybody else gets, where our will should be what matters, the will of the majority of the people. Let elections take place, let the people throw up the government that they choose and let that government then decide what is better for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. That's all we ask for. And if you want to regain or rebuild trust, then really all you have to do is to put into action the words of the Honorable Prime Minister. The Prime Minister said that the problem with Jammu and Kashmir is that there is a distance of hearts and there is a geographical distance, Dil ki duri or Dilli se duri, distance from Delhi and distance of hearts. Correct this and most of your problem will go away. But with the caveat, you will always have a disaffected population in Jammu and Kashmir that does not accept what happened in 1947. It will always be there. There will always be a constituency. Your aim has to be to shrink that constituency. You will never be able to eradicate it, but you will be able to shrink it. If that is the aim that you go forward with, you will succeed. But you have to do it by, as I said, removing Dilli se duri or Dil ki duri. If I was in the office of the Prime Minister, I would look at simply the humanitarian fallout of what is happening in Afghanistan and try and address that to the best extent possible. Now, herein I will open myself up to criticism that it is a Muslim country, Muslim problem. I am a Muslim Prime Minister and therefore I am sort of being more generous with Afghan refugees than I need to be. But I am saying that as Prime Minister, religion aside, I would look at the humanitarian problem in Afghanistan and try and at least give some space to the people who are fleeing from there and seeing how many we can adjust and accommodate temporarily here. That said, I also agree with what some of the American leaders have been saying. That look, at the end of the day, Afghanistan has to stabilize itself. If after 20 years and $1 trillion+ and I don't know how much money and training pumped into the army, if that army is unwilling to stand up and fight, then how long are you responsible for them? I mean, given the way they have capitulated over the last couple of weeks, it's safe to assume that the same thing would have happened a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. Nothing would have changed. So how long does the international community want to remain present militarily in Afghanistan? So there are two completely different things. I, as Prime Minister, would not advocate any military role for India in Afghanistan, but I would certainly look at increasing the humanitarian response to the crisis that exists there. Now, the second part of your question, is there going to be a fallout for Jammu and Kashmir? I hope to God not. I, for one, do not believe there will be. But I know there are enough voices within our security establishment that like to make us believe that, look, it's going to blow up in our faces. I think it will be very difficult for the sort of Taliban elements in Afghanistan to move across and start messing around with Jammu and Kashmir. Also, it will then fly in the face of everything we've been telling our own country. We've been telling the people of India that, look, Jammu and Kashmir is where it is because of our own, what we have done internally. Jammu and Kashmir is now stable because we have plugged our borders. Jammu and Kashmir is stable because infiltration has stopped. If Afghanistan, what happens in Afghanistan blows up in Kashmir, then we've been lying to our people. Then what's happened in Jammu and Kashmir, or what has been going on in Jammu and Kashmir in terms of lower levels of militancy, is nothing to do with us. It's purely to do with what's happening in our neighborhood. And I'd like to believe that we've been honest with the people of India and that things are stable because our borders are better managed, because infiltration is under control. And if that is the case, then I don't think we have as much to worry about as perhaps some would suggest.
Couple of last questions now.
Citing what the people of Ladakh did about a week or 10 days ago, all political parties and religious leaders cutting across what is otherwise a very sharp divide between Leh and Kargil, all came together on one platform and demanded a state. Now, I mean, this is mind-boggling for me, because all this while they've been telling the world that, look, we want a union territory, that all our problems will be solved by a union territory. Less than 2 years as a union territory, and suddenly they're no longer enamored with what they got. And now they want a state. And not only that, if they had stopped at that, I would have been happy. But they went one step further. And they said, we want a state, and we want a state that has the same state subject laws that existed in erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir. Which means that if you are not a bona fide resident, born resident of Ladakh, you will not be able to buy property there. So, I mean, I think that answers your question as to how successful carving Ladakh as a union territory has been. The people of Ladakh themselves are not happy with how their lives have gone over the last couple of years.
Right.
Okay, can I ask a question? Okay, hi.
No, that I don't see. In all honesty, I don't see. I think we have gone too far down the route of polarization for something like that to happen in the sort of short to medium term. Do I see somebody from the northeast? Yes, just not belonging to a regional party, because numbers are what count. Yes, perhaps somebody in the BJP, or who knows, if the Congress throws up another Manmohan Singh type experiment, then belonging to one or two of those big parties. But otherwise, as a regional outfit, whether mine or any of the others from the northeast, I don't see it happening. But that, I mean, that's because of numbers. That's not because the country wouldn't accept it. That's simply because Jammu and Kashmir contributes all of 5 members of parliament, and other than Assam, most of the northeast states contribute 1 or 2 individually. The numbers just don't add up in what is obviously a numbers game.
What about all the halla around when...
How many seats do they account for at the end of the day? How many seats does West Bengal have? Even if she wins all of them, 30 plus? 42. 40 odd? I mean, you do the maths. I mean, in the last parliament election, there were about 170 plus parliament seats in which it was a straight fight between the Congress and the BJP. And the BJP won more than 90% of those seats. So no matter how much we talk up the game of regional parties, even if we do a great job, unless the Congress, because I mean, let's remember, all our coalition governments have been anchored by one large party, either the Congress or the BJP. So unless the Congress gets the number to play that anchor role, the regional parties aren't going to amount to very much.
Okay.
One second.